meet my bride. Let's go for a ride in my newfangled automobile. Just where we will go, nobody knows, but it's sure a great way to feel. Behind the wheel of the speed meter steel, it's my newfangled automobile. Hello and welcome to Vintage Car History. I'm Wild Bill. There are some candy bars from when I was a kid that I enjoyed back in the day but are gone now. Marathon, Chocolate, the Reggie bar, all good stuff with their own quirks that made them unique, but just didn't survive the competitive candy market. And being the automotive historian, there are some makes of cars that, though they were long gone by the time I was a kid eating a Marathon bar, I would love to see back in business doing what they were particularly uniquely good at doing. And one of those companies is Auburn. Our story begins, surprisingly, in Germantown, Pennsylvania, where Charles Eckhart was born in 1841. His family was of modest means, and when the Great Panic of 1857 hit the U.S., money and jobs were hard to come by. He was 15 when he left home with some $3 in his pocket, working whatever jobs he could find wherever he could find them. After traveling across Pennsylvania and New York, he came to Hillsdale, Pennsylvania, where he worked for a carriage building company. He spent a few years there, learning the carriage trade, and due to the economic recession going on in the region, also learned to be very frugal and save his money. He did serve in the Union Army for a time during the country's hostilities, and afterwards returned to the carriage business. By 1874, he had saved up enough money to start his own business, and after finding just the right location, opened the Eckhart Carriage Company in Auburn, Indiana. His new home and business were successful. By 1874, he was married, had 4 kids, and the company grew steadily, as did his income. He focused primarily on small one-horse vehicles, buggies, carriages, and small wagons, and they sold very well. By the 1890s, Charles was quite wealthy and was able to leave the business for his 2 sons to run while he pursued a political career. It was his sons, Frank and Morris, who got the car bug under their bonnet. By the late 1890s, both sons had pretty much taken over the operations of the firm, and both saw cars as something to either embrace or eventually lose their business to. They decided to design their own car, and by 1900 had built a prototype. Thus armed, they founded the Auburn Automobile Company that same year. It would be 3 more before production cars would become available. Their first offering, the Auburn Model A, was a small, single-cylinder, air-cooled coupe. It was front-engined like a panhard as opposed to a runabout. She sported a 2-speed planetary transmission with reverse, like the Ford Model T, but 5 years earlier. Selling for $800, it was well built and money well spent. Some 130 of these cars were made in their first year. 1904 saw Auburn offer a substantial touring car. A 2.3-liter water-cooled twin-cylinder engine of 10 horsepower drove the rear wheels via chains through a 2-speed planetary and transmission. The touring body could seat 5 and sold for $1,250. It was a decent seller, and the company continued to offer more and bigger cars, yet do it for under the typical price for similarly appointed cars. By 1914, the company had moved to a bigger facility in town and offered 3 models with both straight 4 and 6 engines available. All were well equipped and well priced. Unfortunately, World War I brought material shortages to the company that they were unable to surmount. Production ceased in 1919, and the brothers sold the company to a group of investors out of Chicago. Led by a real estate magnate named Ralph Bard, the group tried their best to revive the firm, but did not have much success. Out of a bit of frustration and desperation, in 1924 they approached a man who was a superstar car salesman, a Mr. Eric Cord, to see if he could change the situation. He did so by buying the company outright the following year. And for the rest of the decade, Auburns were some of the best touring and sports cars that could be bought at a bargain. Mr. Cord bought the Lycoming Foundry and Machine Company in 1927 and also hired himself some engineers and designers, Alan Leamy being responsible for Auburn's classic lines. Consider the 1928 Auburns. available with Lycoming straight 8 engines of either 88 or 115 horsepower. These cars had all four-wheel hydraulic brakes, live rear axles, twin barrel carbs, 3-speed transmissions with freewheeling, and could top 100 miles per hour, no problem. And yet the Speedster model, their most popular, only cost about $1,000 brand new in 1928. Most cars with those kinds of features were well over $2,500. But the Great Depression put a halt to it. As well priced as they were, luxury and sports cars struggled during the 1930s, and supply issues drove Auburn's prices up. Cord himself had some legal issues, and the company was sold in 1937, becoming Auburn Central Manufacturing and changing from cars to making various large kitchen products, cabinets, appliances, and such. During World War II, the company built Willys Jeeps under contract for the U.S. Army, and after the war, they returned to making kitchen stuff. So in a way, they're still around. But as much as I'd like to jump into my brand new Auburn and go buy a marathon bar, both are just a memory. Thanks for watching Vintage Car History, and we'll see you next week. Peace.